All right, good afternoon, everybody. It is Jay again, and this is a question I get asked quite a lot, and I think I can maybe solve a little bit of the riddle for you guys. And this is, how do I keep the pests down in the yard? Like, how do I keep a lot of the bugs, or why I don't have a lot of bad bugs in the yard, and why I don't get these infestations on the fruit, and why it's just pretty clean around here. And people always ask me if I spray or if I put any kind of, insecticides down or pesticides down. And the answer is no. Like, you really want to keep things as clean as you can or as organic as you can, because if you want a lot of those poisons or a lot of those sprayed plants and fruits, well, you know that you can just go to the grocery store and pick those up. But the question just kind of dawned on me because I was sitting underneath this mango tree, and there's 4 predator bugs that are right here on this mango tree, and that's, well, the reason why it looks so good. But you have to remember that every single tree in the yard has its own little ecosystem and its own little pests and its own good bugs too, right? So just sitting right here, I saw a praying mantis above me. They kind of guard the upper canopy of the tree. Generally, I find those in the upper part. Now, I lost him because I went in to grab my phone to do this video real quick, but I did manage to catch, there's a couple more that are still out here. So hopefully you'll see flying through the screen, you'll see some yellow wasps, these yellow jackets. And what they are doing is, it's hard to catch one in screen. I'm going to kind of hold it right here and maybe you'll see them kind of fly through. What those wasps are doing, or those hornets are doing, is they're combing through this entire plant looking for pests. And as soon as they see one, that thing is gone. They just snatch that thing and off they go. I've seen them just completely clean trees off of every bug, including like the leaf-footed bugs, which is a real problem here on pomegranates. So yeah, no one likes the idea of, wasps or yellow jackets or stinging bugs around, but you have to remember that they do play a really key important role. And one of the main things that they seem to like is spiders. So as soon as they see a spider, they clean that thing off the tree. I've seen them eat black widows. I've seen them attack basically every kind of spider or pests that you can imagine. Okay, so yeah, no one really likes the idea of having them around, but if you leave them alone, generally they'll leave you alone. And if you don't let them get like a nest population in your yard, then they're just going to be kind of visiting. And you also have to remember that they are also a pollinator. I've seen these things pollinate even these mangoes, so they seem to have a little appreciation here with this tree in particular, or the mango trees in particular, that they seem to keep them really, really clean. So I know people want to get rid of those. There he went, just kind of flew through. I know people want to get rid of those, especially because they do sting, and a lot of people have children and pets. But like I said, if you don't let the population build up, if you get their nests when you see them and you just let them kind of be, kind of solitary hunters out here, then that's exactly what they are going to do. And I've never been stung by one, and I've been around thousands of them out here, and it just seems like they just hunt, and they're like the big boy out here where they hunt and predate the yard, and they seem to kill pretty much everything. Now, we do have a very large one here. It's called a tarantula hawk. It's 2 or 3 inch long wasp, and those do kill tarantulas, so they kill larger spiders. Those do have a nasty sting, and you definitely do not want maybe those around, but those are also a predator that I have seen out here in the yard. Okay, so let's talk about another one here. So another one here, I'm hoping I can kind of zoom in here and maybe you guys can see he's going to start moving, but he is right underneath that leaf right there. And that is an assassin bug. And the assassin bugs, what they do is when they find prey, they've got this like this little proboscis, this little stinging mouth, and they'll grab bugs that are way bigger than them, and they grab them and they poison them. So I've seen these even eat cicadas or kill cicadas, which are like, let's say 100 times their size. And I think it has to do with that poison that they inject I have also never been stung by an assassin bug. Of course, I never pick them up or bother them. I let them kind of hunt out here. And they kind of seem to be on like the lower canopies of the trees. They sort of like to stay a little bit lower. And it might be something to do with birds. And they'll also hide underneath leaves. Like you can see this one here. He's pretty well hidden underneath this leaf right there. Hope you guys can see him. Okay, so assassin bugs, that's another good one. Let's talk about ants a little bit. Okay, there are some ants on this tree. Let's go down here and find this little branch, and hopefully we can see some running across there. Some little ants on that branch. So most people really freak out and panic about ants, but they're not realizing that a lot of ants have a coexistent relationship with a lot of trees, and one of them on mangoes in particular is they are a pollinator. So I have seen ants completely cover the flower bracts of mango trees, and they are pollinating, of course, eating the eating all the sugar there, but they're also pollinating the tree as they go. So they are sort of a dual relationship a bug there. So I don't poison or do anything about the ants either. And it also seems like they aerate the soils. And of course, guys, there's always going to be good and bad of everything. Okay, this isn't a blanket statement like if you have fire ants, leave them, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like have a little bit more of a connection with what your plants are doing with some of these bugs out here, I guess, and know that they're not all bad. And know that by you poisoning, what happens is really this is what happens. Okay, so there's not that many predators out here per prey. Okay, so think about it like in Africa there's going to be a couple lion and there's going to be a whole bunch of gazelle, right? So there's not that many predators per the prey. So what happens is when you poison things, like when a lot of people spray or you put insecticides on, is you're more likely to kill off the smaller population of the predators first, just by their numbers. So like, let's say if there was one assassin bug on here and there was like 200 leaf-footed bugs, okay? So eventually, I mean, that is a lot for it to handle, just like ladybugs and aphids. Like, they got their work cut out for them and they can only handle so much of that. So usually when you see something like aphids attacking a plant and you see ladybugs all over it and they're trying their best to keep up, well, there's something else wrong with the plant, guys. So it's usually there's an immune system deficiency on the plant, which is attracting the aphids, and more than likely that ladybug's not going to be able to save that tomato in time, let's say, right? Because there's too much going on there. It's too sick. It's you got to remember these plants have an immune system just like we do, and when they get unhealthy or too far past the brink, well, then bugs know that, bad bugs know that. Okay, so remember, first let's go back to the very beginning. Is if you're getting bad bugs in general, there's something going on with your plants and your ecosystem and the way that you are doing things in order to weaken the plant, in order to attract the pest, in order for, you see what I'm saying? It's let's just say it's generally our fault to begin with, right? Like, we don't like to take blame for things, but I'm just going to say it like this, sort of like, okay, so if we don't take care of our plants well enough and we don't notice things that are going wrong with them, like if they're getting sick, like if our kids get sick, or if our children get, children, our pets, anything gets sick, we kind of notice. But on plants, we don't really tend to notice, because we're, busy and we don't talk to plants. And so, yeah, they're always good on their own, right? So no, you want to really look for plant health in order to get rid of a lot of these pests. Because if you have a pest issue or an explosion of that pest, it's generally something else going on there, right? Like, let's say if you've got 10 million roly-polies and they're eating your garden, right? They're eating your plants in your garden. Well, chances are you're keeping the garden too clean, right? You're picking up all the fruit and all the leaves, and you're not letting them have what they want to eat, which is decomposed material, right? So then they start attacking your plants as they start weakening off, right? So now you blame the roly-poly, okay? That's just not the way it works. It's like, okay, no one's ever pulled over on the side of the road and seen a deer and seen maggots in the deer and said, oh, hey, look, those maggots killed that deer. Like, more than likely, we're smarter than that, and we're going to reference that, well, hey, probably a car hit the deer and then the maggots came. Okay, it wasn't, right? So pest issues are like that, right? Grubs are the same way. You know, I pulled up my dead plant and there was a bunch of grubs, so the grubs killed the plant. And are you sure about that? Like, are you sure it's not the plant died and then the grubs are there to now take it back down to nature again? You know, that might seem a little bit more likely, right? So yeah, guys, I wanted to go over pests. You know, when you bomb things with insecticides and you poison things, well, you're more likely you're going to kill the one assassin bug, and you're going to leave, you know, 50 of the leaf-footed bugs alive. And now those 50 that you left alive now have an immunity to those poisons, and now they'll keep breeding, and now your pests never come back, and you're waging this war against nature, and you're wondering why the sky is falling, right? So you just got to kind of take a step back, right? So, like, how do we solve this problem then? And how do we get the good bugs versus the bad bugs, right? How do we kind of equal that population out, right? Well, one of the main things is you kind of have to leave things alone a little bit. And when like fruit falls, leaves fall, you kind of have to leave some of that. And remember, it's pest dependent, because you can have eggs in pests and they fall in the fruit, and now it just recycles this pest issue that you have too. So you has to be kind of clean fruit, right? The other thing is you have to do everything sort of organically, and by that I mean is, if you're going to stick to that, then you kind of stick to that, right? So if you're going to use compost, use organic soils. Don't use our native clay soil and then fertilize and then expect the same results that we're getting in this more of an organic system. The way most people have pest issues is because they're doing things, well, non-organically, or here in Arizona, they've got yards that are basically just clay soil and then they dump fertilizers on things, and that really doesn't improve the immune system. The immune system really comes in through the soil, okay? So you have to get the soil really good first, and then the rest will just happen for you, okay? That's the way that it works in nature, okay? All right, guys. Also, keep this in mind too. When you see new growth on things like this, right, that tells you the plant is doing good. So plants have this way of doing things of they're not living and dying at the same time, okay? So look at the current growth on the plant, the current new growth, and if it looks good, then chances are the plant is still in good shape, okay? A lot of people like to look at older leaves, and they're going to judge their basis of what's going on with the tree by an older leaf, which on a plant like a mango can keep a leaf for 3 years, okay? So this doesn't tell you very much about what's going on right here and now with the tree. All this is really going to tell you is, well, in this case, a couple summers, it cooked out here and dried up. And really that's because I had a chain link fence here instead of a solid fence. So I corrected the problem, which was not enough humidity in the yard. The trees were drying out. You can see this from the 2 or 3 year ago leaves. And now we've got the new good growth again. So we know we've solved that particular issue. So guys, the leaf and the plant, by looking at it, will actually tell you the history of the plant, and it'll also tell you how good the plant is doing currently. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you for watching. I hope that helped a little bit on pest and pest control, and why I leave things a little bit more natural, and why I don't poison things in the yard. All right, thank you for watching.